We now have Seemant Dadwal and the panel joining us live. Seemant is an IIM Bangalore alum, an educator, and founder and CEO of Meraki Foundation. Siddharth Chopra is the co-founder Samarthya, and we have Dipavra Lakra, an IS officer and director at Social Security and Women and Child Development Punjab. Today, Seemant and the panel will discuss parents and parent engagement, last frontier for providing equitable education. Hope you had a good session. Over to you, Seemant.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Anu, for that quick introduction. I'll quickly request you to please enable screen sharing so that I can start the session. Anu, can you see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Great. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks, Anu, for the introduction and welcome everyone to this session around parents and parent engagement. Really, today's focus is going to be talking about, I'd say, one of the most important stakeholders in a child's life and education, but also one of the most neglected ones. Of course, I'll delve into the fact of why I think that, or the work that we do, that we think that parents are one of the most neglected stakeholders, and you think about it from an education parlance or an education system parlance. And before I delve in, I'll just quickly introduce myself. Anu has already shared who I am. I'm a Teach for India alum, also studied policy and management from IIM Bangalore, and I have been running Meraki Foundation, which is an organization really focused on ensuring that every child in India enters school ready for it. Quick sort of preview about Meraki. We're a Section 8 not-for-profit based out of Delhi, and we've been working with the state governments of Delhi, Punjab, and Uttarakhand, specifically focusing on children in the age group of 0 to 10. We've been working in the field for about 4 years. We, as an organization, our focus has been early childhood as well as primary education. So a lot of the conversation today is going to be focused on that. We are one of the organizations we were declared as a global winner for world-changing idea by Fast Company last year. We were selected as one of the top 15 early childhood organizations globally by MIT Solve, as well as we were winners of National Social Innovation Forum by NASSCOM. And so really sort of our expertise in terms of the work that we do, I would say, lies at the intersection of community, technology, as well as sort of government partnerships. So a lot of the conversation today, although will be primarily focused on parents, but we'll talk about it through the lens of how parent engagement can be enabled, needs to be enabled from the stakeholders that are, the government itself as well. Primarily, the conversation for today and the way that it's structured essentially is, it's essentially structured in 3 points, which is, it is primarily a conversation of hope. It's a conversation of exploration as well as conversation of action. So in the exploration session, which goes second, we will really explore the idea of why parents haven't been in the focus of, from an education policy standpoint, and what are some of the reasons for that. We'll also explore why is it necessary to engage parents. We'll talk about the hope, which is like, what is the solution that we really need to sort of bring in that really will help push us not just towards the deeper impact and better sort of educational outcome impact. And then we'll have 3 sort of star speakers, I'd say. We have Siddharth, Geeta Devi, and Dipavra Lakra sir, who's going to be joining us essentially and really talking about initiatives on the ground that are working with the parents, and talk about it from their lens and perspective on what are they doing to ensure, parents and parent engagement is happening in the way that needs to, so that outcomes for children in the larger exploration, sort of in the larger education parlance improves. So without further ado, I'll sort of start quickly with the first section, which is the exploration of the idea of what parent and parent engagement is. And remember, the session is called, Parents and Parent Engagement, the last frontier for the equitable education. And before I sort of start, I thought the first thing that I'd like to share with you is this video of a mother really talking about her aspirations for her children and what are the challenges that she faces as a mother who's trying to educate her child in difficult sort of circumstances. So I just quickly play the video and then sort of follow it up from there.
बचपन में हमने बहुत दुख देखे, बहुत ज्यादा, क्या बताऊं, भगवान करे ऐसा दुख कोई ना देखे। मैं बच्चे जब खाना भी फेंक देते ना, बच्चे को समझाती, बेटा इस खाने के लिए ना हम बहुत रोए। पापा जब काम ढूंढने गए शहर, तो कभी काम मिलते थे तो कभी नहीं मिलते थे। तो फिर कभी खाना घर पे होते थे, चावल आटा कभी होते थे कभी नहीं होते थे, ठीक है ना। और फिर कभी ऐसा होते थे, हम लोग रोते रोते शाम को सो जाते थे भूख के मारे। जब मेरी डिलीवरी लेडी गार्डन में हुए थे, यहाँ पे नहीं हुए थे, लेडी गार्डन में हुए थे, जब भी मैंने अपने बच्चे की तरफ देख के बोला इसको जिंदगी हमें बनाना है। मैं शाम को पढ़ने नहीं बैठते थे तो मैं छोड़ दिया था, मैं पढ़ाऊंगी नहीं, रोते रहते थे, ठीक है ना। मैंने रहने दो। एक दिन तो गुस्से में मैंने कॉपी किताब सब फाड़ फोड़ के कूड़ेदान में फेंक दिया। मेरे को बहुत गुस्सा आया, क्या मुझे पढ़ना ही नहीं है। जैसे मैं आज कोठी में झाड़ू पोछा कर रही हूँ, मेरे बच्चे कल ना करें, उनको पढ़ाना चाहिए, पढ़ा के इस लायक करना चाहिए कि कल को खुद ही कमा के खा सकते हैं, ठीक है ना। तो और भी बच्चे जैसे ऐसे ही घूमते हैं, उसकी मम्मी पापा की कोई ठिकाना ही नहीं है, बच्चे को छोड़ के काम पे चले गए, दोनों जने ऐसे ही घूम रहे। 10 दिन हो गए, बच्चे ने नहाया भी नहीं, एक ही कपड़े में घूम रहे। मैं इसलिए चाहती हूँ मेरे बच्चे के दिन ऐसा कभी ना जाए।
If you look at the video, essentially, Parvati, really talks about 3 specific aspects of her challenge as a parent to really raise a child in difficult circumstances, right? The first one she talks about is that she herself hasn't had the education or the experience that she's trying to provide for her child. When she talks about how she, hunger was a big sort of component of her life when she was young. Second thing that she talks about is her own lack of confidence on how can she engage with her child, given that she herself hasn't been educated. So she talks about how she, tore up her child's copy and threw it in the trash bin, primarily because she feels underconfident that she'll be able to sort of provide that kind of, support to her child. And the third aspect that she talks about is really the impact of the larger community and how that influences, the environment in which children are raised. So in these 3 aspects, Parvati sort of summarizes what primarily low-income families or parents sort of really go through in terms of their experience of raising children. And this statement itself is really comes to light when we talk about, this one stat which comes from the studies that Stanford has done previously, which talks about the achievement gap. And remember, the difference between a low-income child and a high-income child, by the time that they hit 5 years, is already 2 years of language gaps, which means that by the time that they will enter school, they are already at a gap with their high-income peers. So really, where does the question of equitable education really come in, right? Because a high-income child will be able to afford resources, will be able to afford quality education, versus a low-income child won't be. And if at this early stage, at 5 years only, the gap becomes 2 years, then how do we really sort of change this system and a setup to ensure that there is equitable education that sort of happens? So that's primarily the question for us to really think about. I just want to sort of break down the 2-3 ideas that I had sort of presented right up front, which is the idea of a frontier and the idea of equitable education. Really, if you look at it, the education as a concept itself has now become a single sort of ticket for low-income families, essentially, or families for upward mobility eventually. Because all of us know with higher education comes higher sort of income, better economic sort of opportunities, and that sort of has become a way to sort of better life. So in that way, education itself is that thin line that separates. If you look at Maslow's hierarchy, you see that from satisfying the most basic needs to sort of satisfying, really the needs of self and being, essentially, there is this thin line of education that brings in. And so the entire idea or the purpose of education, if you look at sort of social indexes that have been developed, essentially seems to be that satisfaction of basic human needs, that foundations of well-being and opportunity are sort of also satisfied through this idea of education. But what does really equitable education mean? It means that providing students with whatever they need to perform at an acceptable level. And that means that, every student, of course, is unique and needs a different setup and a system. But how do we at such a large scale at a public education level really create opportunities that we are able to provide children with opportunities where they, get the support that's needed. So in our heads, essentially, the equitable education essentially is broken down into three aspects, which is fairness, which is to say that personal and social circumstances don't really create the obstacle, which then don't allow children to achieve. So how is the system really fair? When we talk about inclusion, are the minimum basic standard of education or skills being provided to everyone, so that this idea of equitable education is provided. And third, we feel, apart from the system has to be fair and inclusive, it also has to have many pathways for students to really achieve success in the long term. So we feel that there are three aspects of fairness, inclusion, pathways to achievement that have to be positioned in order for equitable education at a public education system level, for that to be provided. But if you look at the reality, essentially you will see that a lot of children, majority of children, according to the study done by Ambedkar, enter school disadvantaged. They enter school not ready for it. Like I said, there is already Stanford study that talks about how children are already 2 years behind, when they enter it. In terms of pathways to achievement, it seems to us that the formal education system seems to be the only way, but surprisingly, we'll also know that 30% of Indian children only graduate by the time that they hit class 12. We should also recognize that we've done well and gotten around 100% of children into primary education. But really our pathway to that achievement isn't a many-to-many situation. It is primarily through the formal education system. And even after having done that, the question is, are the kids still learning? Is there that opportunity? But if you look at, for example, the ASAR survey, you'll see that over the past 10 years, the number of kids in grade 3 who can actually read grade 1 text has actually decreased. So really the question now becomes, how do you make the system fair? How do you make it inclusive? How do you build these pathways to achievement by including, through this public education system? And so if you try to sort of build a map of sorts on how does the entire education system really influence the child, what we'll see is that there have been in the past 70 years, there's been a lot of work done on schools, on teachers, on principals. You'll see a lot of work done at the policy level. There have been multiple policies on education that have come out. But really, as the idea of a parent or a stakeholder parent, really finds a mention in 2010 when they talk about RTE and specifically their participation in SMCs. So parents as an entity haven't really found that much mention or that much sort of intervention within the landscape of the education system per se. Justifiably so, because most of the parents who use the government system or the government schools are parents who themselves haven't been to school. Usually are parents who haven't had that kind of education as well. So, so that's the point in that we are sort of coming in. What happens is that because parents haven't been to school, they're highly stressed, lowly responsive, and hold the school system poorly accountable, which essentially dramatically leads to higher dropout, low academic status, as well as poor health for children as well. So where does the hope bit sort of comes in? And that's the primary question for us. And for that, I'll just quickly show you a quick video, a 1-minute video, which talks about why is it necessary for adults around children, specifically parents, to be a part of this conversation.
The social challenges that face modern societies, whether it's the ability to work productively, to be a good citizen, stay healthy, have their roots in early health and development. A strong foundation in early childhood results in much better and more effective development later. A weak foundation really puts us behind. The most important thing children need to thrive is to live in an environment of relationships that begins in their family, but also extends out to include adults who aren't family members in child care centers and other programs. What children need is for that entire environment of relationships to be invested in their healthy development. We've shown from decades of testing interventions that we can improve outcomes. But the magnitude of those impacts is not good enough. Science is now available to help us think about what we might do that would have a bigger impact than the best of what we've done before. So we began to ask, what could we be doing differently? What could we do to be smarter? Children who are at the greatest risk for the poorest outcomes in learning and health and behavior are children who experience a pileup, a cumulative burden of one after another of risk factors. And then the burden is more than any child could be expected to overcome.
So like the video talks about how, children experience a pileup of circumstances such as poverty, violence, neglect that really sort of are pieces that children at that young an age cannot really deal with themselves. So it really calls for adults, for parents to be involved really early on, even before this lottery that seems to be of birth, where children in higher income groups essentially are doing much better than low income groups, can be sort of negated in some manner. So really what this video talks about is building the capabilities of the parents, and that's essentially what we are talking about. The question really then becomes, how do you build the knowledge, skills, and mindsets of parents so that they are able to directly influence children at home, eventually are able to build an environment where children can achieve their innate potential, leads to sort of lower dropouts, higher academic, as well as holistic sort of improvement of children in terms of cognition, behavior, and social aspects as well. So that's primarily the frame of the question that we'll be looking at. I have with me practitioners from the field who've spent some time really engaging with parents, and looking at, and we'll look at it from three different lenses. We have with us Geeta Devi, who's a supervisor who spent some time on the ground, talking to parents, being amongst parents. She'll be sharing first. Then we have Shri Riprava Lakraji, who's an IAS officer out of Punjab, and I'll introduce him separately. And then we also have Siddharth, who looks at it from a not-for-profit lens, and really working with SMCs, with parents, to ensure that there is better equitable education that we are able to provide. So just to start things off, I'll quickly get to Geeta Devi ji, and I'll ask her a couple of questions, and this will be in Hindi. So just that.
इसी को लेकर एक मिनट
गीता दीदी, आपको आवाज आ रही है?
इधर एक मिनट
गीता दीदी, आपको आवाज आ रही है?
जी जी सर, आ रही है.
थैंक यू सो मच ज्वाइन करने के लिए गीता दीदी. आपने कुछ 20 साल आपने काम किया है कुछ पेरेंट्स के साथ और कम्युनिटीज के साथ. आप मेरे को थोड़ा सा बताएंगे किस तरह के चैलेंजेस आपको पेरेंट्स के साथ आते हैं बच्चों की एजुकेशन को लेके, किस तरह के एनवायरनमेंट में ज्यादातर पेरेंट्स होते हैं, थोड़ा सा बताएंगे उसके बारे में?
जी सर. जी नमस्कार सबको. पहले मेरा सर, मैं जो फील्ड में काम कर रही हूँ, मुझे जो मुश्किलें आ रही हैं, हमारा एक एरिया, तो मैं डिस्ट्रिक्ट पठानकोट से और ब्लॉक धारकला है. हमारा जो एरिया है थोड़ा पिछड़ा हुआ एरिया थोड़ा, तो लोग क्या है कि ना, सो पेरेंट्स काम पे चले जाते हैं, तो बच्चे ऐसे रहते हैं घरों में, बच्चों को टाइम नहीं दे पा रहे. दूसरी ये है कि ज्यादा पढ़े लिखे नहीं है. ठीक है, पढ़े लिखे नहीं है तो उनको कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं है, वो समझते हैं कि हम बच्चों को कुछ करवा नहीं सकते. एक ये है कि उनके पास स्मार्टफोन नहीं है. अगर किसी के पास है भी तो इधर नेटवर्किंग की थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम है.
तो ये सारे जो चैलेंजेस होते हैं, आपको इससे क्या लगता है, मतलब बच्चों में आप फील्ड में जब बच्चों के साथ आप देखते हैं या काम करते हैं तो क्या इन दिक्कतों का क्या असर क्या पड़ता है बच्चों पे? थोड़ा सा उसके बारे में बताएंगे?
हाँ, इन दिक्कतों का तो बच्चों को बहुत ज्यादा असर पड़ता है। जो संपूर्ण विकास है बच्चों का वो
हाँ
नहीं
जी।
हो पाता है। ठीक है,
हाँ,
जो बच्चे देखो आज के बच्चे, जो आज के बच्चे हैं वो कल का फ्यूचर है देश का, तो वो
बिल्कुल।
किसी तरह से उनको होलिस्टिक जो डेवलपमेंट नहीं हो सकती है,
हाँ
क्योंकि जो पेरेंट्स है जो मतलब बच्चों के लिए वो पहला स्कूल है, उनकी
हाँ।
पहली पाठशाला है। और
बिल्कुल।
ज्यादा स्पेंड जो बच्चे टाइम है वो घर पे ही करते हैं।
हाँ जी।
जो पेरेंट्स बच्चों को करवा सकते हैं वो स्कूल में भी इतना नहीं सीख सकते जितना, क्योंकि जो पेरेंट्स हैं वो बच्चों के जो अंदर के गुण है, जो जहाँ कमी है कोई, वो ही पहचान सकती है, क्योंकि वो ज्यादा टाइम जो बच्चा है उनके साथ रहता है। अगर
बिल्कुल।
वो पेरेंट्स बच्चे को टाइम नहीं देंगे तो जो बच्चे के अंदर के गुण है वो भी निकल पाएंगे, उभर के नहीं आएंगे, और जो कमियां वो भी नहीं पहचान पाएंगी। तो बच्चे की जो मतलब चौतरफा विकास है ना वो रुक जाएगा।
तो इसमें आपके अब 20 साल के एक्सपीरियंस में कुछ आपको ऐसा लगता है कि एक दो चीजें आपने की हों जिससे पेरेंट को अच्छे से इन्वॉल्व कर पाए हों? क्या
जी
ऐसी
सर।
चीजें जो काम करती हैं पेरेंट्स के साथ, बच्चों से इन्वॉल्वमेंट बढ़ाती हैं, ऐसा
जी
कुछ?
सर। हाँ हाँ सर, हमने एक तो उनको पेरेंट्स को जो मोटिवेट किया है मीटिंग्स करके या होम विजिट करके, उनको
हाँ।
मोटिवेट किया है। उनको
हाँ।
यही चीजें बताई हैं उनको कि देखो आप अपने बच्चों को टाइम नहीं देंगे, अगर आपने अपने लिए हर काम के लिए आप टाइम निकाल रहे हो तो जो इतना इम्पोर्टेंट है बच्चे के लिए, आप उसके लिए क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं? आप सब
हाँ।
कुछ कर सकती हैं, चाहे आप काम पे भी जा रहे हैं, चाहे आप
हाँ।
घर पे भी कैसे भी हैं, आप उनके लिए सब कुछ कर सकते हैं। ये नहीं कि स्पेशली उनके साथ आप बैठो, आप किचन में काम कर रहे हैं तो भी आप उनको सिखा सकते हैं, उनके अंदर के गुण आप पता कर सकती हो, या उनको पढ़ा सकती हो, उनकी मतलब सर्वपक्षी विकास आप कर सकती हो। मतलब
तो
ये
आप
नहीं है स्पेशली।
तो आप
ठीक है,
बेसिकली
आप हमने जैसे मतलब स्मार्टफोन की बात है, तो एडोलेसेंट गर्ल्स हमने उनकी हेल्प ली है कि जिनके पास है फोन, वो जाके उनको जैसे मेराकी फाउंडेशन की वीडियो आ रही हैं, जो एक्टिविटीज वो करवा रहे हैं। हम कम्युनिटी की भी हेल्प ले रहे हैं कि वहां तक पेरेंट्स तक, और पेरेंट्स को यही बार बार हम समझा रहे हैं कि आप इनके लिए टाइम जरूर निकालिए, यही आपका भविष्य है। और अगर आप इनके लिए टाइम नहीं निकालेंगी तो कल का बच्चा हर फील्ड में जो पीछे रह जाएगा।
ठीक है। थैंक यू गीता जी, थैंक यू अपना एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करने के लिए।
वेलकम सर।
थैंक यू सो मच। अब मैं नाउ आई विल सॉर्ट ऑफ शिफ्ट टू Diprava sir, who's a IAS officer. He's the director at Social Security and Women and Child Development Department in Punjab. He's been Deputy Commissioner as well of Bathinda and Municipal Commissioner in Jalandhar, amongst other things, of course. The 2005 batch of IAS officers. Sir, welcome and thank you so much for joining in. I just wanted to sort of start it off and really get into it and ask you a couple of questions really around how you see parents involvement in public education system, given that Punjab in some sense has taken the initiative and leadership to run a Margdarshak program, which is a parent focused program at such a large scale. I wanted to start with asking you, sir, what is your opinion and sort of what do you think is the role of parents to sort of improve public education system, to really help the public education system or the state system to deliver equitable education? If you could really start from there, that'll be great, sir. Diprava sir. Hello.
As you said, the role of as Simant?
Sir, it's I lost you. Can you start again? I couldn't hear you properly. Hello. Yes, sir.
Huh?
I can hear you now, Hanji. Please.
Huh. Let me stop my video because the net here is not working, so I'm connecting from my mobile phone itself.
Sure.
As you said about role of parent in education of children, as Madam Gita pointed out, and as far as my experience got to be quite exposed to many of the system. When my little daughter asks me in the evening, come and play with me, I'll normally say to her, बहुत हो गया, अभी मेरे को काम करने दो. हाँ, अभी बहुत काम है, तुमसे बाद में बात करते हैं. Kind of situation is when with people like us, who can be considered as 1% or 2% of the population. So we can well imagine the condition of poor people, or who don't have exposure to. They are more concerned about their subsistence, their economy subsistence. They hardly have time to understand the children's specific issues or the demand of children.
Yeah.
And as all of us know, by the time it's in those circumstances, we fail to groom the children, or we make our parents sensitive about the children attitude, children's need, requirement, then it becomes very difficult, and it makes a permanent damage to the whole system, because finally he has to compete with some other person who is very well off, or who is exposed to many of the ideas and exposed to many of the events, and accordingly his brain develops. So naturally parents have a definite role to play on it, and as with Meraki we started, at least now the
Sir, your voice is breaking.
That at least 10 or 15 minutes of the day they are dedicatedly into their say that at least 15 to 20 minutes their bondage between will gradually evolve. Otherwise, I have seen the parents who are disconnected with their children, and if the bondage is not developed when they are at a younger age, when they become adult, that kind of bondage is missing, and naturally it creates a societal disturbance also. So whatever we are whatever the foundation we are giving right now, naturally that will make our society stronger.
Definitely. Sir, if I may quickly also ask, what are some of the initiatives that you think, the state or public or the state essentially is doing or needs to do to engage parents more in a better manner? Like this could be across nutrition, it could be across, parenting ideas or education. Could you share a few examples, maybe, of what else can state governments do to engage parents better, to build their capacity really?
See, as far as my experience in Bhatinda is concerned, or as a corporation commissioner Jalandhar is concerned, in Bhatinda we started a school for slum children, free of cost. That school is still running. That was Prayas, named as Prayas, and alumni of IIM Ahmedabad who started it. And one fine day he came to me and told me that, do you have any building? We want to start a school for the low income group without any cost. So I had a building and I offered them, and it is doing quite commendable well. Commendably, it is perfecting, and around 250 students are there as on date. And we created a library from Red Cross also, so that they are exposed to some of these new things. They will start reading at the free time. And in corporation also we gave much more emphasis for libraries, so that people or children who are from low income group who don't have access to this kind of literature will feel capable enough to access these kind of things. And again with Meraki, we started this, you are the pioneer of this Meraki initiative.
Right.
And now that the viewership has increased, the WhatsApp messages that is being sent to the parents' mobile, and
Right.
at least a day, at least 15 to 20 minutes, they are trying to engage their children, and
Right.
that 15 to 20 minutes will naturally create a bondage between parents and children, other than those kind of subsistence mundane things. So
Right.
naturally, this will strengthen their bondage between parents and children.
Right. Definitely. So one of the disability as a concept for children who are disabled or parents who are disabled. I know Punjab has sort of done has taken out a couple of initiatives around supporting parents or supporting children who are disabled, and there's some work being done on that side, because generally in the education scenario, disability or disabled children essentially also, when we think about it, providing quality education to them, it seems sometimes that I won't say takes a backseat, but is not as important as or doesn't get as much mention as children who are school going children do. So could you talk a little bit about that initiative, specifically supporting parents with disabilities or children with disabilities? How are we supporting them?
Of course, when we are talking about deprived section of society, and thereafter we are talking about disabled children or children of disabled parents, then we are talking about lower most strata of the society, and probably that is not our priority right now, because the kind of awareness level that we see in the society or in government sector, they are neglected a lot, because we don't have study material for deaf and dumb, standard study material. The teachers deficiency is there. The special schools are not available. So we have a school in Jamalpur for blind, and there are deaf and dumb school in Patiala, Bhatinda, and one or two places more. So definitely we need to do more about disabled students, and with regard to their special needs, the literature has to be different, the study material has to be different, adequate care has to be taken.
Yeah.
And the government needs to emphasize more on it. As on date, we have tried to initiate the things, but a lot more things requires to be done.
Right, and you'd agree, sir, that even parents of children who are disabled need a lot of awareness and a lot of support, because because they are the ones who are going to be supporting children over their age. So there's some work being done on building that awareness and skill set of these parents as well, right?
Yes, those things are being done, and because once the disabled children is there, parents think that this is a lifelong liability to us, and this kind of perception over a period of time creates a kind of mental blockade in the minds of children.
Right.
So these things need to be avoided by special training, special initiatives to parents, and we are definitely trying to do that.
Right. Thank you so much, Dipravasa, for taking out the time. I know that you have a call right after this as well, but thank you so much for taking out the time and really sharing some of the work that you've done in the past. And we look forward to sort of engaging with you going further. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I'll just quickly move on to Siddharth, who's a co-founder at Samarthya. And Samarthya is an organization that again works with parents in I would say in the primary education space as well. I'll start with Siddharth, and I'll quickly jump into it. Siddharth, are you here on the call?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
I can. So thank you for joining in, Siddharth. Just quick introduction. Siddharth is also an ex-TFI fellow. He's been working with Samarthya, which works on democratization of schools by improving the engagement of parents in the functioning of schools. Siddharth, could you really talk about at the start, just on the topic of parents, and how do you really what are some of the things that you're seeing from a parent perspective, challenges that you're seeing, that parents where parents can come in to improve the public education system from your perspective? If you could start off from sharing from that.
Sure. Thank you, Simant, for inviting me. I think I'll start with sharing a couple of instances that we have seen, some great things that we have seen parents achieve while working towards the improvement of the schools. So one small example I will start with is so we're working in one of the schools in Haryana, and there we saw that like the midday meal ration that is supposed to be distributed to all the children. Every child was not getting access to that, or the quality was low or the quantity was low. And the parents are the ones who like came forward and talked about it with the school, and they figured out what is the issue which is going on, and then then the schools have ensured them that this was the last time that it happened, and they'll take care of things. They'll ensure that the right amount, they receive the right amount, and they will ensure that all the children get it. So this is just one instance. Another instance that I would want to share is one of the parents. So we all know that when the school starts, academic year starts, usually textbooks do take some time to reach all the children because of various reasons. So, and because of COVID, schools are closed, a lot of children had no access to any kind of study material or smartphones. So one parent, just an example, one parent, what she did was she like ensured that around 80-90 children in their community, they were able to exchange textbooks with each other. Like child who like passed 6th grade, they gave their textbook to the child studying in 5th grade. So these are a couple of examples that we can share. And when you talk about like what kind of role do we see parents taking up when children start going to the schools? So how do they take this role up? I think there are various avenues for that. There are parent-teacher meetings where parents come up and like talk about these concerns and understand what is going on. There are school management committee meetings where SMCs are just like the panchayats of government schools, where all stakeholders come together and they sit on the decision-making table to ensure that all the decisions are inclusive. Then they also ensure that they talk to different children in their houses across the community to understand what are the issues that the children are going through right now, and then they ensure that their voices they reach to the right people, be it in the school or in the community or in the government, to ensure that their issues are catered to.
Right.
So these are, yeah.
That's essentially what I'm hearing from you, and what you're pointing out seems to me that midday meals was a great scheme which got kids into school. And you're saying by making sure that it's a community, it is mostly a community-driven initiative, but by making sure that you're involving parents, you're ensuring that children stay in school. The other example that you gave was around the books which you were talking about, which means that, again, engagement or involvement of parents ensures that children who need support in terms of study material, there can be local initiatives that come up that really help children with access to material that they might need, with thereby contributing to the equitable nature of providing education. Just a quick question around, and would be great if you could also take maybe a couple of minutes just to talk about Samarthya and through SMCs, how are you guys doing this work? But what are the skills that you've seen from your experience that parents really need, or we need to build as an education system in parents to ensure that this delivery of education happens and equitably so across all stakeholders?
Thank you, Simant. So I think to begin with, what do we do is Samarthya works with parent representatives in the school management committees. School management committees, as I said, like they are the panchayats, and the idea is to ensure that all the stakeholders, they sit on the decision-making table and they decide for themselves. They identify the issues which are going in the school or with the children, and they try to address those together. Right. So this is what we do across Delhi, Haryana, and Punjab. So now I think with respect to the gaps that you're talking about,
what are the skills that you've seen that you build with parents?
Yeah, so skills, I think with respect to, I'll just talk about two things here. I'll talk about the information gap and the skill gap that we have been trying to bridge. So firstly, they need to be informed about what are their roles and responsibilities. Right. What are they supposed to do? How how often are they supposed to visit the school, and how are they like what's the mandate for an SMC meeting and all those things. And then if you talk about the skills part of it, then it's like, how do you ensure that, how do you find out the right kind of issues that the school and children are facing, and then what are the right platforms to kind of raise those issues and address those issues? If you have to write a letter to an official, how do you write the letter? Which
Right.
official do you need to go to, and how often, and how much time does it take for any kind of issue to be resolved? Those kind of things. We have seen that parents require to like enable themselves and equip themselves to ensure that the rights of children are not like this, they're catered to. And yeah.
Right. So basically what you're saying is that, we can't assume that they know this. You have to sort of build their skill set so that they're able to participate in this entire system and process of running a school or managing a school. Again, Siddharth, any one or two maybe examples of what you've seen, that has changed the way education is delivered, or how, it's become more equitable in the areas that you work with. We can leave this conversation based on that positive note. If you could share any anecdote from your work.
Sure. I think in our experience of working in Punjab with the education department and a couple of other organizations, so what we've seen, COVID happened, and we saw that suddenly parents, the amount of pressure and the amount of responsibility on the parents suddenly increased a lot, because schools were closed and children were staying with their families throughout the day. So This idea which education department worked with, we also tried to work with education department on this idea of conducting virtual parent teacher meetings across all schools in Punjab. The idea was to inform parents about different initiatives and different things that department is doing to kind of, so that they are informed, they are able to support their children in the best possible way. All kinds of online and offline teaching methods that are being used. Second was to appreciate them, because they're putting so many efforts right now, and we all know how much struggle parents are going through. So they definitely need appreciation to begin with for their efforts. And third was which is very important, we believe, which is very important, is to listen to parents, to listen to the feedback of parents. What do they like about the current initiatives, and what do they want teachers and schools to do to support them and their children? And I think these things, we have seen that through this we are able to, education department was able to reach more than 20 lakh children across 19,000 schools. So I think these are things, and there are many more things that can be done to kind of ensure that community is more aware and more supportive of children.
Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for contributing and sharing, a little bit about your work. And I think it's really encouraging now. Till about 2016-17, one didn't really hear about any kind of parent initiatives that were taken across states. You would hear of pockets of these examples, and now we're seeing through your work, that other organizations are doing in the parent engagement scene, through the work that Meraki is seeing, that we are seeing that there are now state level initiatives that are being started, that are being run. And finally, that seems to me that there is this point of flux where parents as stakeholders have started to sort of come into the conversation. And I know you believe, and I believe that, this is that stakeholder that had been sort of neglected for a long time, and really enabling them and bringing them as a part of conversation, not treating them as, as things to be managed, but treating them as assets that can be leveraged. I think is the need of the hour, and definitely something that we believe, in the next 10 years, if we can push this idea of parent engagement and parental involvement in schools and child education and development, we believe that there will be significant progress that the education scenario and essentially the larger country will sort of see. Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you, Geeta ji and Diprava ji, for being a part of this conversation. And I hope that this was useful. Thank you, everyone. And I hope to see you soon. Thanks.
Thank you, Simran, for inviting me. Thanks.